Every fighter is scared. Every fighter gets hurt. It's how you deal with adversity that counts. You either quit or you keep going. Words of wisdom from Lowell boxing legend Micky Ward. Micky was able to box his way out of a troubled life, but today, with most after-school programs being cut due to the economy, how do we keep high-risk kids out of trouble and out of jail? Hello and welcome to the Educational Forum. I'm Diane Sullivan, your host for today's show. When you think of boxing, all you might see are two fighters beating at each other. Our guests see it quite differently.
Your left hand will be number one on this side.
Okay.
All right, so I say one, you throw that. There you go. Two will be this hand over here.
All
so
right.
1, 2. There you go.
All right.
And when we do this is a focusment workout. It's the closest thing to sparring. It gets the kids used to throwing combinations.
So this is where you start their training.
A lot of it, you know, I mean, first we try to get them to do 3 rounds on the speed bag, heavy bag, shadow box, and jump rope. Then they'll come in for 3, 4 rounds of this. So you're talking 12 to 15 rounds or so. They'll put in a day. You know, 4 or 5 days a week.
Your nickname is Irish. Is that for obvious ethnic reasons?
I guess, but I was named so many different nicknames earlier in my career. I had like 3 or 4 of them, and then finally Irish, and I kept that one. I had like the baby face assassin. I didn't like that. I hated that. You know, and a couple other ones similar to that. I was like, nah, Irish, it stuck.
Irish is a great name, but of course my name's Sullivan, so what would I say, right? Tell us about your early career as a New England champion boxer.
Well, I started when I was 7 years old fighting. My brother took me down to the gym when I was young, and you know, just progressed from there. I fought in the silver mittens. I fought in the Junior Olympics when I was a little kid. Silver mittens, and I went on to the golden gloves and the New England AAUs, it's now called the ABFs, and all those different tournaments. And then I finally turned pro at 19, and you know, and the rest is just history.
So it was your brother who actually got you involved in the sport?
Yes, yeah, he started me off.
Introduce us to your brother.
My brother's Dick Acklin. If you've seen the movie The Fighter, you know, the crazy one jumping out of windows.
There's one in every family.
Yeah, well, that was him.
After winning your first 14 fights, you take a hiatus from boxing. Why was that?
Well, I took a hiatus because, you know, I fought a few fights after that, and in boxing, when you're winning, you're on top, you know, everything's great. But when you lose a few fights, and you know, you're not the same. They're not the same to the promoters. You're like it's just like being at a meat counter. Next, ticket, next. If you lose, there's always 10 guys behind you that's just as good, you know. So I lost a few fights, and I felt I was just getting thrown in there because, you know, they were just using me as a stepping stone and things like that. So I said, nah, I'm not. You know, I don't want that. I'd rather go back to work. I'm not gonna, you know, for short money, get my head pounded in and be used by these promoters. I said, so I'm done. And that's why I retired the first time.
And you ultimately have to have some surgery done on your hand?
Yeah. After I fought Zab Judah in 1997, my hand was really, it's been bad for my whole career, but it was really to a point where I had to get it done. And I went and finally got my hand done. They took a bone out of my pelvis, put it in here. I got 3 screws, and, you know, it was like a new hand.
And then you make a big comeback. Tell us about that.
Came back, and I won a few fights locally around here at the Wonderland Ballroom, at different little venues, you know, for like short money, just to get back, to get my body back, just to get some wins under my belt and get my confidence up. Because when you lose so many fights in a row, you lose your confidence. So I had to win like 3, 4 fights to get my confidence, get my, you know, get to feel the ring again, you know, get all the cobwebs out, if you want to say that word, you know. But then when I came back great, you know. I came back, and I come back the second time in my career because I wanted it. Not because someone else wanted me to come back, no, because I wanted to come back and do it on my terms, and that's how I did it. And
you travel over to London, and you take on the welterweight champion over there. How does that work out for you?
Right, it was great. I fought a few fights that I wasn't supposed to win, and I won. That put me in position to fight for that championship, the WBU title. The kid was from Liverpool too, and I fought him over in London. So I had to go over there and fight him, and I had to knock him out over there because
you had to.
It's awful tough to, you know, beat one of the guys over there in his home country. You know, you have to beat him either decisively, really every round, or you got to knock them out. And that's what I did. I ended up knocking them out in the 7th round.
Good for you. What a wonderful memory that must be for you.
Yeah, it is, because, you know, a lot of people never gave me a chance of even fighting for a title, never mind going over there and beating him in his home country.
What did the crowd do when he's laying there unconscious in the ring? And here you are, the American that's done it.
Well, it's funny because he, you know, I'm Irish and I got a little English in me. So, I mean, they booed me when I walked out, but after the fight was over, they kind of, you know, it was 50-50, you know. They really wouldn't boo me when I was done. And he was also Irish, too, because he's from Ireland, Shane Neary, but he came over when the potato famine years ago from Ireland to England.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he was over in England, but he's really Irish. He was the Shamrock Express, and I was Irish. So, yeah.
Well, then it would have been a good result no matter what, right, for the Irish.
Right.
Tell us now about your next 3 big fights with Gatti. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Gatti, I told
Gatti.
you, yes.
Okay.
I mean, the first fight was really tough. It was grueling. It was brutal. We got Fight of the Year, Round of the Decade, you know, things like that. You know, we just tried to kill each other for 10 rounds, and I ended up winning a decision in that fight. And the second fight...
Well, stop right there for a moment. Are you really trying to kill each other?
Well, no, I'm not literally trying to kill him, but if it happens, it happens.
Wow.
I'm not in there trying to kill him, like, by no means, but if so be, I mean, if you hit
that
him hard,
happens,
yeah, it's
it could
part of the
happen.
sport. You know,
Okay.
you gotta, it might sound brutal, but I mean, that's the way it is. Yeah. I'd rather hit him than him hit me.
Yeah, you'd rather be the one that's not dead, right?
Right, wouldn't you want to be the
Yeah,
one
I would.
hitting instead of getting hit?
Right, exactly. All right, sorry to interrupt you. Okay, so fight number 2.
So the second fight, you know, was my biggest purse up to the date I got. Like, it's a funny story is, 3 years before I fought Gatti, I was fighting at Wonderland Ballroom for like $600. And 4 years after I fought Gatti, my second fight for $1 million. So like, see how if I gave up back then when people said give up, you can't do it, you know, your hands are this, that, and you know, you're not gonna be nothing. If I listened to them, then I wouldn't have made it. But I knew I could do it, so that's why go with your mind. Go with you.
That's why I want you here today. I want you to tell those kids, never, never, never give up.
Right, exactly. But the second one, we fought and I made that money. Not because I made the money, but I mean, we fought the second one, and he caught me in the 3rd round with a right hand over my jab, hit me right in the side of the ear here, and knocked me down. I was out. Pretty much I went down, and they gave me an 8 count. And the referee, and this is a funny story, and it's a true story too, and it's crazy, but the referee gave me an 8 count, so now I'm wobbling, I'm all over the place. And the referee says, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah, of course I'm okay. I'm going like this." I said he hit me behind the ear, but he didn't listen to me. So anyways, referee said, "Okay, fight." So he comes at me like a madman. Now I'm going against the ropes. I'm trying to like block. I'm like, I might have to fall over again, right? Luckily the ropes are there. So I'm against the ropes, and he lines me up with a right hand. He goes boom, boom. He goes boom, caught me with a right hand, whack. I was out. I was ready to fall. When he hit me with that right hand, it woke me up. I wasn't even hurt no more. I came at him after that. But he ended up beating me that fight. He ended up beating me in that fight. Then our 3rd fight, he ended up beating me again, 3rd fight. But I got hurt in that last fight. I wasn't, you know, people didn't want me to fight. I said, no, I'm gonna, you know, fight him the 3rd time. And my brain ended up shifting in my skull in the 7th round and stuff like that. So plus I suffer from post-concussion syndrome now, which I'm in the study with Dr. Robert Cantu and Chris Nowinski donate my brain when I pass.
Wow.
So I can study the effects of concussions and how to you know, monitor them or how to not get them, you know.
Just wonderful of you to do that.
Yeah.
Now, Ring Magazine, which is the big magazine or was the big magazine in your day, they tout your fights as the fights of the year. Am I right about that?
Right, yeah. I'm one of the only, I think I'm one of only like 6 people in the history of boxing, or 7 people maybe, that was involved in Fight of the Year 3 consecutive years. I mean, some guys have got it 4 years, some guys have got it 5 years. But no, like, only 6 or 7 of us got 3 in a row. Like I think Ali, maybe Count Basilio or something like that back in the 50s. But only 7 guys got 3 fights. Like I got 2001, 2, and 3.
A kid from Lowell.
Yeah, and if I gave up and I was fighting in Wonderland and If I gave up and listened to the people that said I couldn't do it, then I would have been probably paving right now. No, not there's nothing wrong with paving, but I probably would have been, you know, construction again.
When did you hang up your professional boxing gloves, so to speak, and why?
Before I fought my third Gatti fight, I said, I'm going to fight this fight as hard as I can, give everything I have, you know, and then I'm done. I'm done. That's when I walked away in 2003 after my third fight.
Wow.
I said, there ain't no money in the world to get me back because I'd rather be, as it is, I suffer from post-concussion syndrome, and if I ever got in a third fight, after my third fight, that's what I got, that post-concussion syndrome. But if I fought again, if I ever got hit and I'm not normal, all the money in the world, I'd rather live in the woods and have nothing and be normal than have a big house and have money and be not coherent and be like, you know, and.
So you knew when to get out.
Yeah, so I mean.
Good for you.
It was a no-brainer for me, and people say, oh, how can you do it? Don't you still have that fire burn? Yeah, it does, but I'm realistic. I mean, I know I can't be the same I am at 40 as I was at 30.
Why not, right?
Yeah, well, you want to think that, right?
Yeah, right.
Like 40's the new 30, I guess,
Yeah.
but not in boxing wise.
No, that's for sure.
Maybe in normal people's lives, but not in the ring.
And you can take all that energy and do other things, which you are doing, and we're going to talk about that.
Right.
Your story, your life is now a major motion picture known as The Fighter.
Yes.
How did you feel when you took your seat, opening night, so to speak, in the audience and see your life up there on the big screen?
You know, it's funny because when I first seen the movie, they flew me and my brother out to L.A. to watch it at Paramount Pictures at the theater there. So I watched with Christian Bale, Mark Wahlberg, Christian's wife, and me and Dickie. And you know, I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know, I didn't mind it at all. I thought it was good, you know. There was obviously everything. It's not just like your life, but I mean, it's Hollywoodized a little bit, and you know, not much, but it was really good. But it was a funny story. Is we're out there watching it, and I'm looking at Dickie, and Dickie's, you know, the part where he's jumping out of the windows and all that stuff. So he's looking like he didn't do it. So I'm just looking. I kept looking at him. He's like. So when the movie finishes now, I say to Dickie, I goes, why was you at that part when you were jumping out of the windows? Why was you looking like you didn't do it? He goes, didn't do it. He goes, I went out the third floor, not the second. He says, and there was no bags under me. He goes, I hit the ground. I don't know, wow.
Oh, is that great?
But I thought it was very good. You know, obviously, like I told you, it wasn't exactly like my life. You know, like my sisters never went into the gym with my mother and things like that, and they never all come up to my house and wanted to fight my wife like the Griswolds. They all got in the car, you know what I mean? Bang, 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 you know what I mean? And I mean, if they came to the house, that would have happened, but they never did.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's no love lost, but you know, that's one of the things that didn't happen.
Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, when you were a tyke and you were boxing, 9 years old, you said you started? 7. Okay.
Right.
Did you ever think that you would be the success you are and there would be a major movie about you?
No, that was the furthest thing from my mind. I never even thought I was going to be a boxer like as a professional. I did it because my brother brought me down here and I ended up liking it. But I liked baseball and football better when I was younger. And I played baseball throughout, like, to high school. I was in high school freshman and I stopped playing. But I like football and baseball a lot better than boxing and wrestling.
But you were a great athlete.
Right, so I mean, but did I ever think I'd be a fighter my whole life and like that'd be my profession and that's how I'd make my money? Never in a million years.
So tell us a little bit about what your life is like today, what you're doing, what motivates you, what's your dreams and inspiration now?
Well, actually, I have a boxing gym and I train young kids and things like that, and grown-ups use it also and stuff like that. And I have that. I'm part owners of an outdoor deck hockey rink called Greater Low Deck Hockey. You know, it's the ball. It's like ice hockey, but it's a deck hockey.
I know so much about it because my nephew is over in Czechoslovakia on the national team playing for a national championship.
So I have that, and I'm a teamster, local 25 in Charlestown.
Wow, good for you. You're still involved helping kids.
Exactly, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you believe the benefits are to kids that get involved in boxing.
Well, I think, honestly, people say, oh, why when your kid go in boxing, he's going to get hurt, blah, blah, blah. It's not about going into boxing to go in the ring and fight and blah, blah, blah. It's about teaching respect and Kids learn a lot of respect from boxing. You can take, if you have a trainer that doesn't care about the kids, what they do, you know, just lets them come in there and kill each other, that's different. But if you monitor a kid, you get a kid that comes in and say, you know, he's in trouble or whatever. I mean, it teaches so much respect, boxing, for other people. You know what I mean? And especially in gyms. Gyms are like, you know, you have whites, black, Spanish. You know, and whites are like, you know, if you get a little white kid in the gym, and he's like really timid and stuff, and he comes into the gym and he starts training with these kids in my gym, he's one of them, and they all shake his hand, give him a high five, and he feels like one of them, and you know, it gives him like
belonging.
It gives him a belonging to
Team.
something, and it also gets him involved with ethnic groups where he never would outside of boxing.
Right.
You know, he can, and that brings in, you can bring that into the schools and kids in school. Here's my friend, and he's a little kid, but you know, and where he'd be timid around these people. I mean, so boxing teaches a lot of respect. You know, that's the way it should be. I don't mean like, if kids in my gym, if they start coming into the gym and they go into school and start using it, fighting with people, then you're out of the gym.
Good for you.
You got to show respect for elders and like that, and show respect for each other, and that's what it's all about. You know, it's not just about going in there and hitting someone. No. It's about learning the craft of boxing and respecting people, and in return, you get respect back.
And how about self-discipline? It must.
Well, exactly. Self-discipline. You have to watch your weight. I mean, if you're gonna fight, you have to watch your weight. Obviously, for the normal person in there, basically, it's a lot of people go in there just to lose weight. Women.
I better sign up.
Women, men, kids. They go in there. Some kids go in there. Women go in to lose weight, getting conditioned, because they don't want to go in there and fight. They just want to box and work out.
Right.
And it's nothing like it, you know, because it works your whole body.
And I have heard that now in gyms you have grandmothers in there to, quote, get in shape.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, they're more enthusiastic than the kids.
Yeah,
You know,
I bet.
because, they're in there, they're like, you know, they're getting out of the house, finally.
Oh boy, out of the kitchen. Forget about the house, the kitchen. They want out of that kitchen.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, it's a good outlet for them, too.
I want to talk about whether you've talked about the concussion side of things as boxing generally being safe, because people compare and contrast it to things like hockey and football, which can be very physical, very, you know, dangerous. But the difference is, some would say, is that boxing specifically rewards a blow to the head.
Right.
So is it a violent sport? Is it a dangerous sport? How do you see that?
It can be. Honestly, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It can be.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you fought like I fought, it can be. It is. You know, but if you fight like, not saying that I fought the wrong way, but if you, it's a craft. And it's a science. You know, if you, like Muhammad Ali, you watch him fight. He moved around, boxed, danced. You know what I mean? But there are fights that you can, you know, can get hurt. Yeah. But that's a chance you take. Boxing, like, there's no way around getting hit in the head. You know, it's, you know, when they say the concussions, you worried about concussions, and what can you do to, like, you know, stop them or not have as many in the gym? I think it's in the gyms.
Right.
I think maybe the sparring, lessen the sparring, because all your injuries happen in the gym pretty much. Obviously, you get hurt out in the fight, but most of your injuries happen in the gym where you're sparring almost every day, getting ready for a fight for 2 months. Sparring hard, you know, getting hit in the head. So maybe if you don't spar as much, or you know, stuff like that, that could probably minimize the concussions. But you're never going to get rid of getting hit in the head, because that's the name of the game.
What about those protective cages you see?
Well, see, the headgear is, I think, headgear doesn't do nothing for your head, your brain shifting if someone hits you.
Okay.
Your brain's going to still squish around. You know what I mean? It doesn't take, you know, getting hit in the chin, it doesn't stop that. The thing what headgear does is headbutts. Like if you're going to go in with a guy and you guys get close and you hit each other's head, you know, you get an elbow in the head, eye, or whatever, hits the headgear, so that's what it helps. It does not help from your brain shifting.
But then, if most of the injuries do occur in practice and sparring, that's no different than kids on high school hockey teams,
Right,
you know,
exactly.
going into the boards.
Right, exactly. Maybe minimize the sparring, cut it down, or maybe if it gets worse and worse, cut it out, but I really don't see that, but we'll see.
Do you believe that certain classes of kids that are in trouble with the law, or maybe I might say are hyperactive to the max, can really benefit and keep out of trouble by engaging in boxing? And why I'm asking this is I'm aware of police departments that are really taking troubled kids and getting them into boxing programs.
Right, I think it's great for hyper kids, for kids that get in trouble, because kids that are in trouble in school and things like that, when they come into the gym, they're not in their element no more. So now they're a different person in there.
Yeah.
And they start respecting not just the sport, but other people. And then when they go back to school and stuff, they realize that they ain't all that bad. Because when they're in that gym, they ain't the same guy being a punk in school. So when they're in that gym, right, they got to watch what you say around certain people. You got to respect people. And I think when they learn that, they take it back into school, and they're a better person for that. And hyper people, I mean, you want to be hyper, again, go in the gym 3 rounds, right? You won't be hyper no more. It'll slow you right down.
Is it a stretch to say then that boxing is a positive alternative to crime for some kids?
I think it is. Being taught by the right person, someone that cares about kids. Because anybody can put a towel on their shoulder and say, I'm a trainer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And there's enough of them out there. Someone that cares about the kids, knows the sport, and respects the sport, and shows respect to the kids, and in return they get it back, you know. And you got to respect the kids, and you know, if you don't know what you're doing, and you got to work with kids, you know. Kids don't just pick it up like that. You know, they're like a sponge when they're young, so they take everything in, but they don't learn, fast sometimes, and you got to be patient with them and just give them respect.
Do you enjoy working with kids?
I do. I really do, because you see the progress. You know, when you got a polished fighter, you know, he's at his peak, and he's not gonna really, he's gonna get in better shape and all that, but he's already learned everything he's gonna learn. But seeing a kid, you know, like I said, they're like a sponges, and you see him progress as a fighter and as a person, and they just keep getting better and better, and you know, and it gives self-esteem, because, you know, they lose weight, they start looking better, they feel better in school, they're not, you know what I mean? So
Right.
it's good for self-esteem also.
My final question to you, Micky. Tell me about your new book, your autobiography.
Yeah, Warrior's Heart. Written
Love
by,
the title.
Thank you. Written by Joe Layden. It starts when I was 7 years old, going through my, my young ages and stuff, 12, 13, up to when I retired and then after. So it's a good read, so people out there should get it.
Inspiration to the readers.
It is, really, it is, because, you know, like I said, don't let anybody tell you can't do it, because that should motivate you right there to want to do better when someone says you can't do it or you shouldn't do it. So that's enough motivation right there, you know, so listen to your heart, don't listen to other people.
1, 2. Now bring your hands back to your face. The big thing here is we like to have the kids, we
Come
work them
back.
big on defense, so, you know, we
I like
cut
that.
down on that, any
Okay.
injuries.
I'm ready.
1, 2, 1, 2, 4 punches.
1, 2, 1, 2.
There we
back.
go, excellent. The better you get at fighting, the pros that we've had here are the most polite guys you want to meet. They're not tough guys, they're not going out there to be a tough guy. They're fit, most of them are family men, have children, they come in and they put in a good workout and they help the kids when they're here. It's amazing to watch them work with kids. It's a sport that when you, like Billy, you know, he devotes his life to this. He's been doing this now for about 10 years we've been here. So it's just a great way to give back to the community, and, you know, and the kids love it. It's a great workout.
Well, I'm a 32-year-old mayor. I've been mayor for about 4 years. Somebody who's a big advocate of really making sure our community is inclusive from the ground up, making sure that places like this, a small business, a boxing club, survives, make sure that the youth of the city are part of the political process. So for me, places like this that we're sitting in is more than just a boxing club. It's really a place to teach kids about civic engagement.
It's a part of your community.
It is. It's in the heart of the community, actually. It's really right in the middle of the community.
How does a young woman grow up to be mayor of a large city?
Oh boy. Well, there's not a lot of examples, but in my case, I actually grew up in a small restaurant. So growing up in a small restaurant in the heart of an inner city makes me really love the idea of being able to help out other small businesses. My dad actually said, you know, do you want to take over the family restaurant business? I said, Dad, what if I was that public official that helped small businesses like a boxing gym or like a Chinese restaurant where I grew up in? And that's really how I ended up in the job that I'm doing right now.
So would you say that your parents are among the significant influences that have really steered you in this direction?
No.
Okay.
Yes and no. I think explicitly, I think sometimes they think that the idea of success is doctor, engineer, lawyer. But what they taught me, I said, it's not what you said in terms of the career. It's what you taught me in terms of being a part of the community, giving back, working hard. So being mayor, for me, seemed to fit that description more than being a doctor, an engineer, or lawyer.
Tell us a little bit about the city of Fitchburg. My father came from an Irish immigrant family, and he worked in the paper mills here in Fitchburg. My uncle, French Canadian, same thing. They were both mill workers. Those jobs have disappeared, as I can see it, mostly from the Fitchburg area. So tell us a little bit about the roots of the city and how you are handling the transformation.
Absolutely. So this is what some people have said, an old mill or old manufacturing city. The great thing about growing up in a Chinese restaurant in inner cities is I've seen old mill or manufacturing cities come back. When we opened up our restaurants in downtown Haverhill and downtown Cambridge, there was factories all over, and our customer base was all the workers from the factories. Then they closed. We suffered, but we held on. And then the city really worked with the owners, the small businesses, the mills, developers, brought in new money, converted the condos into modern businesses, into incubator space, into condos. And that actually helped small businesses like ourselves because it completely changed our base. It brought in new jobs, and it helped us continue to thrive even after decades in business. So we're doing the exact same thing here in Fitchburg. We're saying if we can help that Chinese restaurant on Main Street or in downtown Claiborne, then we know that we've done our job in terms of taking these old mill buildings and filling them up again with new uses.
Is it hard for kids that are born in these old manufacturing cities and urban settings to move ahead in society?
It certainly is a challenge. I think that there are a number of disadvantages that, especially in the downturn in the economy, might have in terms of lack of jobs, in terms of less money for social programs or education. But I think one of the great things about Fitchburg is that we don't necessarily need money, and we actually don't necessarily need the government to intervene. I mean, we have people like Bill, we have places like the Wachusett Boxing Club where very few dollars are needed to make a significant impact on a child. And I think what they're learning is not that there's something that's being served up on a plate to them. They're actually learning hard work. They're learning discipline. They're learning consequences very early on. So in many cases, I think that what you might see as disadvantages are actually advantages that many, many people don't have.
I have heard through the grapevine that from time to time you do rounds here at the gym. Tell us about that.
Yes, I have come here. I try not to tell people when I do, because sometimes people want to see me get beat up. I say I get beat up enough on TV at city council meetings. You really want to see me at the Wachusett Boxing Club getting beat up physically. I love it though. This is a great place. I wish I could get here more often. I come here and for me, it's not just a way for me to learn about the sport, because it's not that great. It's always arms up, Mayor, keep those arms up. But I get to see all the other people that come here. And it's definitely a time for me to get out of my office, to hear what people are saying, to talk with people, and I think that that's so valuable.
Are you any good?
Am I any good? My boxing instructor is not around here, so he says I did pretty well. I mean, I was standing at the end of our rounds, and I guess actually somebody said, wow, you actually did some extra rounds. I was like, great, thank you for telling me. You're trying to torture me. No, it's wonderful though. I mean, it's certainly taught me a lot here.
Would it be a fair statement to say that whether we're talking about boxing or basketball or hockey, kids that engage in these sports, they learn, as you mentioned, discipline and perhaps a way out if they don't want to continue to live in an urban setting?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I believe that this is really a way where kids can grow in a number of ways. I think it keeps them off the street. It also provides them with direct access to mentors, but it also keeps themselves really accountable. So for example, this isn't just an island. This is really connected to a lot of the programming that we do throughout the city. This is actually one of the grantees of a tri-city anti-gang initiative. So this is really a way to keep kids off the street, have it be a positive group versus the gangs on the street. But also, if kids are acting out in school, well, guess what? If they want to come to the gym after school, we don't allow them to. So there's definitely discipline that they learn, that what they do here is connected to what they do outside of this gym.
So for some kids, this is an alternative to crime. Would that be a fair statement?
I would say absolutely. It's an alternative to crime, but it's also something that they not only work hard while they're here, but they have to work hard to be here. And I think that's an important point to make.
Some people would argue that boxing is crude and undesirable. What do you say to those naysayers?
I mean, this country is all about football. I mean, I think what they do here is not any different from that. I think it's different in the respect that there is just a different level of discipline because you're not there necessarily as a team, but you're really there as an individual, and the focus is on you. So I think that in essence, whatever crudeness there is, it's not really any different from the other sports. I wouldn't call it crude. I hope we would change the terminology to athleticism and discipline, competition, because that's really where I see sports like football and sports like boxing.
That's right. Last question. Is there anything that can be done to help boxing gyms such as this one? Because from where I sit tonight, I see a wonderful spot for kids to go.
Well, you know, what's great about gyms like this is that they don't look at just profit. You know, if they were looking at profit, then they would look at people who can pay and really up the membership fees. But a place like this does require donations. The city works with the boxing club. We help find grants, but it isn't enough. So we do ask people to send in donations.
Bill, tell us about yourself and take us back to those early years.
My father was a fighter, and he wanted my brother and I to be fighters. And I entered the YMCA tournament, and I was 12 years old. I was a bantam boxing champion. And I just continued on from there.
What were your boxing goals? Did you see yourself as being the recipient of Golden Gloves at that time?
Not right at that time, but a couple years later, I was entering the gloves, and I won the gloves when I was 17.
Wow, what an achievement.
And then 2 weeks later, I won the New England Amateur Athletic Union Championship, which qualified me to go fight in the Nationals.
And what happened there?
I got beat by a man named Bobby Buffett from Cleveland, Ohio. He's really a good fighter.
Why did you get involved in boxing? I know your father wanted you to, but you stayed with it all those years. So certainly there was something self-fulfilling about you being involved with the boxing.
Well, I played football, and there's 10 other guys to help you. Baseball, there's 8 other guys. In boxing, you're doing it all on your own. It's strictly an individual sport, and all the glory is yours.
That's right. Or all the defeat is yours, right? It's up to you. Tell us about your years in the Marine Corps. Were you boxing then?
Yeah, I boxed in the Marine Corps at Paris Island. I had 2 fights. Then I went overseas and fought the All-Navy champ in Morocco. I beat him, and I was transferred to Camp Lejeune to fight for the Marine Corps boxing team. I made it to the semifinals of the All-Marine Corps Championships before I got beat.
Wow, good for you. All right, we'll come post-Marines. Tell us about your later boxing years.
I got out of the Marine Corps. I fought for 3 more years as an amateur. Then I turned pro, and I did all right. I won my first 5 fights, then I lost 1. Then I won a couple more. Then I lost 2 in a row. When I lost 2 in a row, they were both by split decisions. I felt they don't want me. I just quit. I was disgusted. And I shouldn't have quit because there was a lot of guys that lost more than 2 in a row.
Folks around here are very lucky that you have stayed with boxing. So tell me what your goals are here at this boxing club, and tell us about some of the kids that you've been involved with.
Well, I like keeping them off the streets. That's the main thing. When I was a young boy, there was plenty of trouble to get into. But John Conley from the Sentinel used to take all of us and take us to the gym, train us, and he had guys there to help him, and it really worked wonderful, and that's what I want to do here. I've got a half a dozen helpers here that donate their time, trying to keep these children off the street, the ones that don't have a mother or father at home, and that no parental image.
How does boxing help kids? Are you trying to build discipline, self-esteem, or is there some other objective?
Oh, it's a little of everything. There is definitely self-esteem. You're proud of yourself, and it's discipline. You have to be tolerant to the rules. Keeps them in great shape.
And do you believe that you've helped a lot of kids in the community?
Oh yeah, I know for a fact that we've helped quite a few kids.
So would you say that some kids, by getting involved with boxing, perhaps keep out of trouble, keep out of jail? Would that be an accurate
I know
statement?
for a fact there's 2 or 3 that would have been in jail right now if it wasn't for this gym and getting in there and learning how to box. And a couple of them went on to do very well boxing. And we had one child in here, it wasn't a child, he was about 19, and he said, I looked at his back and it said Latin Kings on it. And I called him aside and said, hey, I don't want no trouble up here, you know, that's dangerous stuff. And he said, no, I'm trying to get out of the gang. He said, and he worked out here for about 3 or 4 months, then he completely moved away from the area. But he was up here every night faithfully.
Is boxing safe?
Yes, it's just like anything else. You can get hurt playing football, you get beamed in the head playing baseball, hit with a hockey stick in there. You're just boxing with another man now that's just trying to, you know, he's trying to knock you out, but it don't happen that often. And they stop the fights a lot quicker now. More protection for the fighters.
Some would say, though, that boxing, unlike football or hockey, rewards specifically blows to the head.
I don't think there's that much damage being done. I had over 150 fights.
You still look pretty good.
I've never been knocked down, never been knocked out. I danced a lot. I was a defensive fighter. And very few of them guys you ever see get hurt.
Do the kids that you're working with, do they dream of being a world champ? Or
Some of them do. They have thoughts. Everybody does. I mean, I had them same thoughts when I was a young boy.
Do you think that some of those kids work out their aggression in the ring?
Well, they probably do. Probably mad at their mother or father and take it out on the kid or try to take it out on one another. But they're using big gloves and they got headgear on. They're all fully protected.
So they wear adequate protective gear, and that helps prevent any injuries. So in some regards, there's a lot of concern, but perhaps it isn't fully merited.
And even in the amateurs, you have to wear a headgear now. When I fought in the amateurs, we didn't have headgears.
Right.
So they've made it a lot safer.
Have you had any world-class boxers here in the gym?
Had the middleweight champion of the world here, Harry Simon, one of the greatest fighters around, and he's still fighting now.
Wonderful.
He was in an accident, and he spent time in America recuperating. He worked out here for 2 months. He's fought on TV. He was the first one to beat Winky Wright, who was a top 5 fighter in the world.
What lessons have you learned from boxing in life?
Not to sell anybody short. Think that guy's a pushover over there, and it's just like in real life. You don't go walk into the job and think, I'm going to get this job, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You have to respect everybody.
To those who would say that boxing is not a positive sport, what would you say to them?
Well, they'd have to be more focused on what they consider positive. I mean, it's definitely a positive sport. You're in there by yourself, you're doing this, you're trying as hard as you can. You see 2 fighters at the end of a fight and they're both exhausted. They give each other a hug, they know they've done their best, they're not mad at each other. It's great.
Are there other urban cities that have boxing gyms similar to the one we sit in?
Oh yes, Lowell has 2 or 3 gyms down there. Micky Ward's got a gym down there, and Arthur Rampello has a gym down there. He runs the Golden Gloves now down in Lowell every year, which are coming up in January. So there are quite a few. Worcester has the Boys Club.
How can our audience help support you here or help support the local boxing gym that helps kids?
Well, if anybody wants to send a few donations here to help pay for the heat, Wachusett Boxing Club, 106 Clegon Street, Fitchburg, Mass.
Here in the heart of Fitchburg.
That's right, the capital of Fitchburg.
Well, I'm from West Fitchburg originally, so I will never agree this is the heart. We used to say that the West is the best, Bill, so I'm going to close on that.
Excellent. Can you feel that in your body?
I can feel it all over.
It does. And you do that for 3 minutes and you're moving around the ring.
Yeah.
You'll feel it. You know, do 3, 4, 5 rounds of this.
fun.
It is. Oh, people love it. You should come up and try it out.
I think I'm going to have to come back.
Definitely would like it.
Mike, how did you end up in a boxing ring?
Important role for self-confidence. It teaches you not, you know what I mean, you just learn to relax in stressful situations from it.
Did you ever dream of going professional?
No, not really.
No.
I sparred with some pros and they were tough. They were, you know, they come from where that's how they make their living, and it's tough to fight somebody that's the way out of the ghetto or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. Describe the training regimen to
Well,
be a boxer.
especially with Billy, he used to put us through a lot. You got the road work in the morning, and then in the afternoon or early evening you get to the gym, and you're going to put a couple hours in of hard training. You know, the shadow boxing, the speed bag, heavy bag sparring.
What is the hardest part of doing rounds inside the ring?
Learning how to stay in there and breathe and not get nervous, you know what I mean, and relax. And the hardest the sparring's the hardest, but the second hardest is when Billy would, or one of the guys under him would have us hitting the mitts.
Are you ever afraid you're going to get seriously hurt?
It doesn't cross your mind while you're in there, that's for sure. Not with amateur fighting so much. You're only talking 3 2-minute rounds. But even the professionals, I mean, you look at other sports, compared to, you know, football or hockey, you know, fighters, that's the way they make a living. They're there, it's a choice they make.
Right. Do you work out your aggression in the ring, do you think?
More on the bags. I think your aggression comes out hitting the bags. And then when you're with an opponent, you have a mutual respect for each other.
Tell me about some of the kids now that you train. You're giving back to the boxing world, so to speak.
Oh, it's just nice to see them, get them off the street, get them in here, and you see them change their lives. We've seen kids that were so allegedly, you know, gang members who came in and really changed their lives. Others have gone on to college. Just an incredibly positive opportunity for them.
Keith, what brought you to the boxing ring?
Well, I was always interested in it in high school. You know, I went and bought a heavy bag and stuff in my room, you know, practiced on it. Then after I graduated high school, I just decided I wanted to do it. I had braces on at the time, so I was trying to pad out my timing to get them off. But I found the number for this gym online. You know, didn't have a website or anything. It was just the number. Called them up, you know, walked through with Billy and said, yeah, I want to do it, you know. And I've been here ever since. I started last year, end of July. And
What role would you say that adding boxing to your life has played in your overall happiness or well-being?
you know, self-esteem, confidence, you know, thinking of physical health, all that good stuff. You know, I've met a lot of nice people here. Everyone's always friendly, you know, wants to help you out. So, you know, just positive impact, definitely.
Are you stronger than you were when you started?
Physically, yeah, definitely.
What's the hardest part, though, of doing rounds in that ring?
I love being in the ring, so I think the hardest part is actually out of the ring, you know, just balancing free time and, you know, working full time, coming here at night. Mm-hmm. So other than that, you know, the training, being in the ring, sparring, it's amazing.
What lessons have you learned from boxing?
Teamwork. I mean, I know everyone's saying it's an individual sport, but just the whole sense of community in the gym itself. You help the newer members, the older members help you. You know, everyone gets along for the most part, you know, that I noticed.
And if they don't, you knock them out, right?
Settle your differences in various ways.
I'm Marvin Garcia, and I started fighting like 4 or 5 years ago. I had a trainer named Steve Miller. He brought me to the Silver Mittens. I won 2 fights, then I had another single fight, so that made me 3-0. Now this year I'm doing the Golden Gloves. I got a new trainer named Gino. He's training me, and yeah, I like boxing a lot.
Now there's also 3 and 4 for hooks, 5 and 6 for uppercuts. There's different styles of using the mitts. One of our trainers has a different technique. Billy taught me this. This was handed down from Gus D'Amato to Mike Tyson to Floyd Patterson, all the people that Gus D'Amato trained. It's a number system. So when his fighters were in the ring, if he said 1, they knew it was a jab. Because you can see something from the corner the fighter don't see.
Joining me now is Daisy Martinez, owner of the Canal Street Gym. Daisy, tell us about your gym, your mission, your goals here.
Canal Street Gym is a family-oriented place. We welcome everybody, all walks of life. We do not judge anybody. Our doors are open to the whole community and others outside of the community. Our mission is to help keep troubled kids and others off the streets of Lawrence, to avoid them from getting involved with gang activity and stuff like that.
How did you get involved in boxing? Are you a boxer yourself?
Not myself. My daughter used to box. She started when she was 12 years old up until she was 17 years old. She was a two-time silver mittens champ and a New England Golden Gloves champ. And now she is working, and she just graduated from nursing.
Gone from a boxer to a nurse. Yes. What an incredible story. And I guess she must have got you involved in this gym experience, so to speak.
She told my husband she wanted to box when she was 12 years old, and we've been doing it ever since.
You have all kinds of people. You have kids that are finding a positive activity to keep off the street, and you have women here to get in shape, and everybody else in between.
Yes, we have all walks of life that come in here, including parents that come with their kids to train. We have the regular kids that are training, and we have police officers, we have mothers, and men on their own.
That must be a wonderful thing to see police officers coming in from the city of Lawrence and the kids interacting with them and everybody having a very positive experience as an alternative to crime.
Right, we're one big family here, including the officers that come. Everybody sits down, they talk at the end of the night, and they just socialize like friends. They don't even look at them like a police officer talking out in the streets. They look at them as another friend or family member.
This is a beautiful gym, so congratulations. Are you making money?
No, everybody here volunteers. What we make for money, it goes right back into the gym to pay the bills and to buy any other equipment we need.
What do you say in response to the concern that kids that are boxing may get hurt, they may take blows to their head?
Everybody wears protective gear when they're in the ring, and aside from that, they just hit in the bags and things like that. They don't really get hurt.
Getting aggression out on the bags.
They leave all their stress here.
30 seconds, 30 seconds. There you go. There you go.
Tell us about your affinity or your love of boxing.
When I got into it, it was at a young age, and I was from the projects, and I felt good being in the gym by getting some aggression out. Having a rough home, you know, and I didn't get too much into it. I got into a little bit of amateur, not much, and I got out, and years later, I got into it through my daughter again. She seen a fight, and she watched it, and she told me she was interested in boxing, and I told her, "Are you serious?" She said, "Yeah, I'm serious." And ever since then, it's been 12 years I've been in boxing.
So you trained your daughter in part?
Yes, when she was boxing, I was training my daughter. Sometimes she comes in here and I'll train her once in a while, just to stay a little sharp.
And you're here helping a lot of these kids develop boxing skills as an alternative to crime or a way to just simply enjoy life.
Yes, they need a place to go here in Lawrence. There's a place that it's rough and not too much recreation, enough for kids like 18 years old and up. After the boys club, you're like 17, 18 years old, you can't go there no more. Right. So you need something after that.
You have to have a place to go and engage in a positive activity.
Yes, and this is a city that it really needs it a lot. I argued about that many years now, and the great thing is 4 gyms now here in Lawrence instead of none. And it's a slow progress, but it's working. You know, the boxing to me keeps them not only off the streets, it takes some stress out of them. It gives them somewhere to go. They start to learn to socialize and get along with others. You know, it's a positive place. I'm really appreciating watching in the gym the past days or weeks is watching them work with each other, help each other. And if there's days that I'm not feeling too strong that day to work with them, I could see them just team up with each other and socialize, and it's just very nice. It's very positive, you know.
Tell us a little bit about your years on the City of Lawrence Police Force.
I've been a police officer in Lawrence for 16 years. Currently, I'm assigned as a detective to a Safe and Secure Youth Initiative, which is to work with at-risk youth, try to steer them away from the negative things that could occur in their lives.
Terrific. Now, do you have a relationship with the gym in which you come in and check on or box with or simply check up on these kids?
Lately, it's been more of a visiting and checking up, saying hi, things of that nature. I was introduced to boxing through the Canal Street Gym.
Do you interact with the gym, or what other officers are involved with this project?
One of the other officers, one of the trainers here, is Radamus Gonzalez. He's here quite often. He works a lot with the kids in the gym. He works with our own police officers. They do private training sessions. Our officers are always welcomed here. Something the gym encourages is interaction between the police and the youth in the city that do come and train here to kind of weed out any negative type relationships that have existed in the past between the youth and the police and make it positive. And a lot of the youth that come here and box interact with the police officers, such as Radames Gonzalez, and they see a whole other side to us, that we're not just out there arresting people or things of that nature. We're trying to build relationships with the community.
The city of Lawrence, like any big city, you know, has certainly difficulties in managing gangs or problems or aggressive children.
It's an outlet. It gives them something to do. There's not a whole lot to do once they reach a certain age, and the streets, not a great place to be all the time. This place here is the right turn for them. You know, there's a lot of wrong turns they could take, but there's a bunch of kids in here, good kids. They're here all the time. It makes my job easier. It makes the police officers' job easier when you have, rather than them hanging in the street late, once they get out of here, they're exhausted. They go home, they take a shower, they watch some TV, and they're done, you know. And that's a positive for them. It's a positive for the city. And, you know, it's something you have to support. How can you not support something like that? A place like this has to be supported.
And how about the Martinezes? I mean, they do this for free. They volunteer. It's incredible. You don't hear much about that anymore.
You know, they're working hard. They're reaching out to people. They're trying to get people involved. You know, there's all walks of life in here. You know, you have young men, you have professionals that come here. You know, lawyers, doctors. A lot of police officers come here. They mainly come during the day. There's a small group. But again, Radames Gonzalez is one of the main trainers. He trains our guys. It's good for us, stress reliever. So it works for everybody.
How did you get involved in boxing?
Well, I've always wanted to be a boxer since I was a kid. I lost sight of that dream for a while, and then as I made some proper changes in my life, I restarted to seek that childhood dream, and then I just fell in love with the sport.
So you are presently doing rounds in the ring? I mean, this is something you do on a regular basis?
Yeah, I'm actually here every day. Not only am I'm a boxer, I'm a professional MMA fighter. I've always wanted to do boxing, but I got started at I wouldn't say like an old age, but for boxing, it's still a little too old. So MMA was right in the alley around that way. So I tried it and I fell in love with it, and now I'm in love with two sports. So
I heard a rumor, and the rumor is that you have a nice contract and you're heading overseas. Tell us about that.
I was offered a contract to go fight over in the Philippines. It's actually stationed in Guam for MMA, but I was hurt. I just came. I'm coming back off an injury. I've been back for about 2 months now, and once I get better, I will be going. I'm actually waiting for them to hear back from them now to go fight overseas. You know, you put in a lot of work into it. I train 20, 25 hours a week between boxing and MMA. It's great. It's because you have to learn all the arts. You have to learn, Muay Thai, kickboxing, karate. You have to learn all these different types of arts that combine into one. Ask me. I mean, I love it. It's a rough sport. Don't get me wrong.
It's good to be in love with sports, isn't it?
Yes, it's the best.
Keeps you off the streets, keeps you out of trouble.
Yes,
keeps you focused, keeps you in shape.
Exactly.
Anything else?
Discipline. Yeah, and it's not only just about coming in here and working out. It's also for me, it's self-rewarding to help out, to give back, and just working out. It just clears my mind, clears the air. Or whenever I ever have any anger or frustrations, I just come in here and hit the bag, and I'm a new man when I leave.
Now, do you help coach some of the younger kids? Do you give them ideas, or do you work with them or visit with them?
Coming here and sending kids is actually a good thing for me. It's actually a good thing because I'm also a youth counselor and through the city, and a lot of the kids that I do meet on the street, I bring them to the gym, and then we work with them. We get them, after a while, we see if they're proven. We see if they want to pursue it in terms of fighting, doing Golden Gloves, or doing whatever it is that they want to do, depending on their age, if they want to turn pro eventually. And it's great because not only are they learning, but again, it's self-rewarding because you're helping somebody out.
Congratulations on that. You are literally pulling them off the street and putting them in the ring. Good for you.
Yes. One of the things that I'm realizing with myself is that we're from Lawrence, and we're familiar with Lawrence and how poor it is and whatnot. So we come over a lot of obstacles. So just having that alone, we're tougher. I like to say we're tougher than most kids in most surrounding towns. So if we put that into use and we put that into it, and we gain something, it's real powerful. So I'm trying to make them believe that as well.
Tell me, do you ever worry about injury to your brain or your head as a result of boxing or for the kids?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a physical sport. I mean, me, for instance, I just came off an injury. I just had shoulder surgery. But for the most part, we're concerned, but that's why we always take super precaution and always be, you know, safety comes first before anything. So, you know, for the most part, though, we do focus on that a lot. And, you know, so whatever we do in preparing each fighter or, you know, each student, we could say we take them extra precautions so that they won't be hurt. But it's a physical sport, though, you know. Things like that are, you know, bound to happen. Hopefully, we try to prevent it as much as we can.
Juan, you're with the Canal Street Gym. Tell me what you do here.
I'm one of the coaches. I volunteer here with some of the smaller kids that come in. I show them the ropes. I basically get them involved, make them feel welcome, and show them the basics. Just, you know, repetition, repetition, repetition.
Are you a boxer?
I started out being a boxer, yes. In order for you to be a boxer and be successful at being a boxer, you had to dedicate a lot of time. And time was something I didn't have at that moment. So I couldn't really, you know, put all that effort into it if I was not gonna be all through dedicated to it. So I did a step back and I said, you know, maybe I could help you out another way. Maybe I could just get involved a little bit, show them what I know, and take it to a next level.
You did not have time for yourself, but you have time to help all these kids.
The way I see it, it was I saw other people give it back to me. You know, when I was a kid, other people that were involved in my life that actually showed me a path, took me out of the street. You should do this. You're very talented at this. You should do that. You know, you're very good with other people. You should, you know, take the leadership role and just guide them and, you know, show them a better path than whatever they're doing. So I saw that, and you know, I wish many of my friends had the same guide that I had. So it's always good to give back. That's the way I see it.
Jeannie, they tell me not only are you a trainer here at the gym, but you're also a boxer. Is that true?
Very true. I dabble a little with Bugsy. I train with Radimus as well. I focus more on training the women and doing strength and conditioning with the other boxers, but I throw a few punches here and there.
What's it like to do rounds in the ring?
It's amazing, actually. When you start off, you realize how much endurance you have. I've been an athlete all my life, and I think about, wow, you know, I thought I was in shape. But then you get in the ring and you do rounds, and you really appreciate the time, the effort, and the conditioning that it takes for boxers.
So how did you get involved in this very important and worthwhile project here?
Well, my daughter's always been interested in boxing. And I've known Bugsy. I was a project kid as well. Known Bugsy for a very long time. Heard about his gym through one of the police officers. And went to the gym and had my daughter train with Bugsy. And I seen it was such a family-oriented environment that I was like, you know what, I've never been to a gym, but I think I might try this. So I started to get involved, and then I started doing women's class, and then we started getting the boys involved. And it was actually through my daughter, who trains with Bugsy, that I became a part of this gym.
And what are her dreams or boxing aspirations?
Actually, Giselle is actually one of her inspirations. She would like to train. She's going to start training with Bugsy for Golden Gloves, so she's trying to get in there. She's excited about it.
Now, tell me about some of the women that are in your classes typically.
Oh, we have all age ranges. We try to create an environment for women who have children, have teenage kids, so that it's a bonding experience as well, because they bring their daughters. I myself bring my daughter. We do training with them. It's actually an amazing bonding experience with your kids. Women who are, you know, a little bit older, a little bit out of shape, who are kind of, you know, worried about their appearance. We give them a very positive, a very good environment to come in and say, you know what, nobody's watching, you just come, everybody's helpful, we push. It's actually, we have an amazing variety of women who leave here extremely exhausted and excited, and I get texts all the time, oh, we love the mitts, we love the mitts. We go home and it's like so much aggression, we relieve some stress. So they go home happy.
Big baggy t-shirt and a pair of shorts. They don't have to worry about how they look.
Appearance is not an issue here. You can come in a t-shirt, you can come in a tank top, however you feel comfortable.
We would like to thank our guests for giving their time to help these kids and for sharing their stories. We'd like to thank you for watching. So until next time, you be well.